sports, your performance is everything. So what happens when our minds end up impacting our performance? Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Mindful Sports Podcast. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Mindful Sports. Last week, we talked about how coaches play a crucial role in their athletes' lives and performance beyond just skills and tactics. Coaches need to be knowledgeable to at least some degree about sports psychology principles, but they already have so much on their plates. Between having to balance their own goals with the goals of each of their individual athletes, with the goals of the team as a whole, with their organization's goals. All of these goals can be drastically different from each other and really not have much in common. Someone could be way off in left field and they're just using sports as a way to escape something, but they don't really have a passion for the sport. They're just in it to do the bare minimum, get by, and get out. Others might have a deep, ingrained love and passion for the sport and take it seriously because that is how they feel is their life. It is their career, is their passion, is who they are and what they want to do. And some other people can be anywhere in between those two. When it comes to coaches, a coach may be just trying to impress a bigger organization. Or he may be trying to focus more on the development of the athlete and really not care as much about the results on the field. An organization may want a bigger draw, more exciting, whether you win or lose. They want to be in the media, in the news, talked about, have attention on them. Others may want to focus on the winning aspect of it. They might have a big budget, they might have a little budget. There's so many factors that come into a coach being able to be successful in their role. So how can athletes, parents, their peers, and especially sports administrators help coaches be able to not only cope with this, but be able to cope with all of the expectations? It takes a team. Nobody is going to do it alone, whether it's an athlete or a coach or a sports administrator. There's just too much to try and carry the entire burden yourself. And already coaches get so much of the blame for when things go wrong, but oftentimes they lack support. We may say we support them, but how much support do we actually give them? Do we support our coaches like we expect them to support their athletes? The main focus of sports psychology is on athletes. But sports psychology is not just something to help athletes perform better. Coaches use and need those principles too. Although a coach plays a different role for an athlete, they can still be distracted, fearful, stressed, anxious, deal with confidence issues, and have lives outside of the sport that can impact their performance as well. However, a coach's struggles may not always appear as evident as a player's does. In almost every sport, the coach is either not involved during the competition or is overshadowed by the team, unless, of course, we have something negative to say about them, or an interesting tidbit that really stands out. An athlete's or team's performance in the competition is also not always a direct result of coaching. We talk sometimes about how the coach is not doing a very good job, but the players are really stepping up. Or maybe the coach is calling all the right plays, but the players aren't executing. This means that it's up to others to help identify, bring attention to, and address the coach's challenge. So who is it that we can rely on to do this for coaches? We talked about having athletes, their peers, parents of young athletes, or family members of older athletes, or sports administrators. These are all different areas where a coach should be able to receive help from. And some of them, the coach should be able to seek help from. Remember, it's not just our athletes who need these principles, but our coaches as well. And so after this short break, I want to talk a little bit more about this and how we can help our coaches and who would be the most ideal fit to help the coaches.
Hey everyone, I want to take a second and just tell you guys, if you have not heard about Anchor, go check them out. It is a great way, especially if you have a WordPress blog set up already, to turn that blog into a podcast. It's free. They have creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast from your phone, which is where I'm recording this from now, or your computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you. Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more platforms. As soon as you publish it on Anchor, they'll work to distribute it to all those platforms. You can make money with no real effort. You don't have to have a minimum listenership. You can make it from ads such as these. It's everything you need in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Welcome back from break, everyone. Picking up where we left off, we had mentioned a few areas where a coach should be able to either receive and or seek help from. Let's start with the athletes, because this is the most common relationship that we see, is the one between coaches and their athletes. From an athlete's perspective, they can struggle with this due to the dynamic of the relationship. An athlete is a subordinate of a coach. The coach is there to lead, teach, and mentor the athlete. Oftentimes, this can intimidate athletes from wanting to reach out to a coach because they don't feel that they have that authority or that relationship with the coach to have those hard conversations that might need to be had of, hey, what's going on with you today, coach? You seem to have a shorter fuse than usual. Coaches, in turn, sometimes don't always view their athletes as someone who can come to them. Some coaches out there truly think of their athletes as that subordinate. They don't see them as having any sort of authority or having a place in their life other than, I'm teaching you and I'm leading you. This doesn't happen with all coaches, but there are coaches out there who view their athletes that way. So an athlete may not necessarily be the right path for a coach. It can happen. Some athletes do have that level of a relationship with their coach, but that takes a long time to build generally. So what about the parents of young athletes or family members of older athletes? Well, these people aren't seeing the coach day to day. They're not really a great resource at all. They don't know how the coach typically interacts. They're not seeing what's going on in the background outside of competitions. So this puts a lot of responsibility on a coach's peers and on the sports administrators. The coach's peers should be able to have that relationship One, because they know what's going on just as well as the coach does, in a sense of how the coach interacts and operates, what's going on with the coach's mind. They generally interact even more than the coach and athletes do. Sports administrators absolutely have that authoritative role. They're the ones who are in charge of that coach, who should be able to see what is going on with that coach. The sports administrator should also be constantly checking in with their coaches, seeing how the coaches are doing. What's going on today? How is the team going? How are you doing? Where are we needing to be? This leaves the peers and the sports administrators above the coach as the best roles for a coach to be able to seek and receive help from. They should be the ones on the best and closest lookout for their coaches. Whether it's a sports administrator in school, professionally, recreationally, or even in the amateur level, those in charge of the coaches should be making sure that they're getting the help that they need as well. Supporting our coaches can help allow them to perform their jobs better. You think about this article in the Sports Journal, where they look at different sports psychology aspects from coaches. One of them is mental toughness. And if the coach can have the mental toughness and are developing attributes of mental toughness, they can end up being better coaches and better serving their athletes. And this is important because if we don't take care of our coaches are humans too, just like the athletes. Oftentimes, a coach's struggles can be expressed as anger or a short temper. Maybe they have a lack of energy or enthusiasm. Sometimes they may not even be calling the types of plays that they normally do. Maybe you see a really aggressive coach who really likes to push the field is now coaching the players to sit back, is now calling a play that isn't as aggressive. That's something that we would see from another coach. Why is that? Could it be situational? Absolutely. Could it be because they've tried something and it didn't work and so they're afraid to take that step again? Absolutely. These are just some of the things that we have to watch for in your coaches or your athletes' coaches. Let's truly be a team and take care of all of our teammates. Let's take care of our athletes. Let's take care of our coaches and our coaching staff. Be that team, because if we expect our coaches to take care of our athletes, then we had better have the same expectation for ourselves in taking care of those coaches. Have a great day, everyone. We'll see you again.
Please make sure to give this episode a like, share this with your friends and family, and leave us a comment or review. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe to stay up to date, and have a great day.